This is In Character. I'm your host, Gerard Robinson, Vice President for Education at the Advanced Studies in Culture Foundation. Hello, this is Gerard Robinson. I am the host of In Character, and I'm actually out of character right now in terms of dress and background. For all the other ones I've done, you've seen something very different, but as educators, we often have to pivot. And so this is a situation where I have to pivot. And I want to thank Jeannie for joining me again in this one-on-one conversation.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
So you're in New Jersey, a place where I used to live. You're involved in teacher prep. Very interesting story that you shared with us about your trajectory to the position you have now. And so I won't give a spoiler alert. I'll wait for people to watch that. But what I'd like to know, for those who may not have had a chance to know anything about you, what do you do today and what excites you every morning when you wake up?
Oh, goodness. So my role today is working in a university. I work in the teacher preparation department. And so my job is to work with our partner districts in the field and our mentor teachers and our supervisors to collaborate with everyone to do what is best for districts and students, as well as our teacher candidates. So what excites me every day is getting up and making those connections. So being able to network, being able to provide support where we can to districts, and just really working with the candidates to show them what it's really like inside of a classroom, to get them inspired to want to try new things, to try different sorts of districts and placements and issues, grade levels, diversity, cultural things that they may not have been exposed to in their own educational career.
And you've been in the classroom, so you know how it works. You're now preparing the next pipeline. What's the toughest sell right now to young people or even transitioning professionals to enter the teaching field, particularly in urban areas?
I think a lot of it has to do with what they're going to get out of it. So when you have students who are studying chemistry or biology or even criminal justice, and you talk to them about education as an option, they tend to hesitate. One, they worry if the salary is going to be enough where they can provide for them and their families, if that's the case. They also, you hear a lot of negative things in the news about education from political figureheads. And so I think, the respect angle is really important, that educators get respect from other educators, but not necessarily outside the education field. So I think, to recruit students to work in urban areas is going to take a lot of work, because you have to think about what are housing costs, what are transportation costs, what are, how can you pay for a college degree and the loans that you've just taken out to get through a 4 or 5 year teacher preparation program when you're barely making enough to scrape by? How do you pay back your student loans? How do you manage to advance? If you do have a family, how do you provide for your family and remain a teacher? So I've seen too many good teachers that have had to, turn in their classroom keys to become administrators because they needed the bump in pay, when really it's a shame, because I think they would have made, fantastic classroom teachers that were inspirational to their students, but the finances weren't there.
It's funny you mentioned that, because another group discussion I had was with 7 administrators. And a number of them said, you know what, I have people who left the classroom not because they didn't love teaching. They love teaching. They wanted a bump in salary. Mm-hmm. So you've hit that part. Why did you decide to get into a leadership role in terms of preparing teachers? What about it excites you? Did someone say, hey, we think you'd be good at it? Or did you say, you know what, this is something I want to do, and you've known it for a while, or combination of all of it?
Well, I was very, very happy for 17 years in my high school social studies classroom. I loved working with my kids, and I didn't really know what else was going on out in the world. So when I became the New Jersey State Teacher of the Year in 2011, 2012, I not only got out of my classroom and out of my district, but I was able to go around the state and visit classrooms, to talk to policymakers, to meet educators from across the state who were sort of in the same position I was. And I was shocked at how little teacher voice there was outside of individual classrooms. And so I realized that now that my perspective had sort of been blown open, I went from a view of 10,000 feet to now 50,000 feet, that I needed to be able to put my powers to good use, right? So what good is all of this knowledge if you can't do something with it? And although I loved working with my students, and I still stay in touch with many of them, I realized that I could also have a larger impact if I went to teacher preparation and started to work with candidates from the very beginning, and also in working with districts, because as a person who had been a mentor teacher myself, who, you know, the principal would show up with the student teacher in one hand and the handbook in the other and go, have a great 15 weeks. I realized at that point that, you know, just because you're a mentor teacher, just because you're anointed and appointed, doesn't mean you actually know how to coach and mentor another adult human being and how to teach. I learned pedagogy. I learned how to teach high school students and middle school students. I didn't learn how to teach other adults, and that's a whole different skill set. So what I found in my time and in my research is that if we don't train teachers on how to coach and mentor and help them learn those teacher leadership skills, that they will rely on past experience. And if their own teacher training, if their teacher preparation was not a fantastic experience for them, that they don't really have much more to draw on. So I felt it was sort of crucial to get out there and start to blow the doors off of, you know, the reason that they used to call them cooperating teachers is because the colleges expected the teachers in the classroom to simply cooperate and step aside. I said, I don't want you to just cooperate with us. I want you to actively coach and mentor. So we changed the terminology. We provided training for our teachers. We provided coursework for our teachers. And I sent out, you know, weekly tips and hints and guides and things like that. And we instituted co-teaching to get them to collaborate even more, because when the kids in the class see good collaboration between adults, it serves as a model for them collaborating with other classmates of theirs. So it's a wonderful thing to see.
You mentioned research. Was this research at the graduate level? Was this professional research, or a combination? And for those who are watching and listening, what are 2 or 3 points that we should take away as it relates to your research and teacher prep?
So my research was done as a large part of my PhD dissertation, where I studied the effects of mentor-teacher growth during a co-teaching model of student teaching. So the big takeaways were, number one, that you can't just anoint and appoint and expect that people know what they're doing. So that they were reverting back to the way they were trained in the absence of anything else, and that we need to have meaningful dialogue between our preparation programs and our teachers in the field to help provide them the support and the knowledge and making sure they have what they need to move forward. I think another key piece there was the mindset of the mentor teacher, whether or not they were prepared to not only take in another adult in the class and learn with them, but also to not have them be a mini-me. It wasn't, you know, we don't want a maestro and a student. We want colleagues. You want someone who's going to nurture that person to grow to be the best teacher they can be, not a miniature version of themselves. So that takes some work, and that was where my research led me.
You've been awarded a couple of awards here and there for the great work that you've done. For a number of people who may have never had the opportunity to meet you in person or know your story, talk to us about the day someone said, hey, you should apply for X, all the way to the point where you received a phone call or someone said, hey, you've won Y.
Oh, goodness. Well, I will say that for every award that I've been given, I think there have been 2 or 3 more that I haven't received, you know? So it's not like once you win one, it's a magic door that opens and they all just come flooding in. I think, you know, you have to learn and grow in whatever situation you have. So I always joke that when I became state teacher of the year, it was kind of like going from Miss Butter Queen to Miss America. It was a series of steps. So the first one was to be named as the teacher of the year within your own school. And so that was an amazing experience after 17 years or in the school, you know, to be recognized and for the work that you've done and the students that you've inspired. I think that was amazing. From that point on, it was the district level. So I didn't know what was going to happen. Sometimes, internal politics plays a role, but I managed to win the district level. It then went to the county level. So I ended up having to fill in a 7-part application and with a video and that sort of thing. And it went off to the county level. I won the county level, was one of 21 county teachers of the year. And so after doing all of the written work and the video, then it actually goes in front of, they take the 4 finalists. I didn't even know I was a finalist. And they sit in front of a panel of about, oh goodness, I think there might have been 10 educators in the room, the head of every major education organization, plus, membership from the DOE. And it was a long table with them on either side and me at the end. And I got to walk in and they said, so, and they asked me every question about education that wasn't answered by anything else I'd previously done. So I realized at that point, you have to learn. You can't just walk in there and go, oh, well, this is great. Here I am. You got to put some work into it. So I studied education issues. I studied policy. I wanted to know what other states were doing. I did a lot of web surfing and finding out what pros and cons, because I think there's always 2 ways to look at an issue. And I started to think about, okay, this is feeling, kind of real. So what am I going to do with this if I actually manage to get into this position? If I actually manage to be a state teacher of the year, how can I use my powers for good and help elevate other people? Because I think that's the sign of a great leader, is not, everybody follow me, but come along with me and let's all do this together and let me use what I have to elevate the group. So, for me, that was it was a really long journey. It was shocking when I got the call from the commissioner during the school day. They pulled me out of class and sat me in the office. I thought I was in trouble because I do tend to be a bit of a big troublemaker. So I was like, it's only the 2nd week of school. How could I be in trouble already? But it was a call from the commissioner letting me know that I had won. And then, of course, my next step was although I love teaching in front of a class and I can do just about anything in class, I have an absolute fear of public speaking, or at least I did. And so for me, that was one of those, oh my gosh, everyone's going to be looking at me. I don't know. Are they going, imposter syndrome just ripped right into the room. And I thought, are they going to come and yank me out and tell me I don't deserve to be here? Are they going to, am I worthy of this position, of the accolades they're giving me? Is there somebody else who should be getting this instead? What am I doing? And so I realized during my year, we say in the Teacher of the Year program, you have a year of recognition followed by a lifetime of service. And so although it was nice to go around and smile and wave and give speeches all over the place, I realized that I had a larger responsibility to give back to the profession, something that of all the knowledge and the wealth and not physical wealth, but emotional wealth, and that I had gained through this position, to give back to the profession. So that sort of started my very rapid learning curve that got me involved. And so as part I ended up going back to my alma mater, where the dean who saw me speak to a group of alternate route teacher certification students asked me to come on board and help revise the fieldwork program. And so I had been there for several years, but I will be transitioning to a position to work as the executive director for the Center for Future Educators, where I will be recruiting high school and middle school students back to my heart, but into the teaching profession and working to diversify the pipeline, both of which I am really, really passionate about, based on my own education experience and sort of where I grew up, where no one actually looked like me. I taught in a very diverse district that I grew up in. So for me, this is personal, and I can't wait to get out there and start doing the work.
Well, it's very clear to me and anyone who's going to watch this or listen why you're not only the Teacher of the Year, but we are all shocked that you're afraid of public speaking. So
I got over that.
Oh, in a big way. No, this is really good. Well, listen, Jeannie, thank you so much for taking time to share your personal, your professional story. Your intelligence and your passion is pretty clear, but your commitment is what I'm really excited to see, because we really need to recruit and retain more teachers, particularly on the diversity side in the pipeline. So glad you're in a leadership position, and just know we here at Advanced Studies and Culture Foundation, we're here to support you. So thank you so much for joining me in Character.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.